Hey everybody, I'm Phillip,
And I'm Justin.
and together we are Pajamas, and we just watched Loki, Season 1, Episode 3. This one was rather short.
Yes, and we witnessed seeing the end of a world.
Yeah, we were watching a planet and a moon collide with each other. But this one clocked in at about under 40 minutes. It was rather short. I was like, whoa, it's over already.
But much did happen in the midst of it, though.
It felt like a video game to me. Your character wakes up on this world, or on this moon, and a planet's collapsing into it. And you're trying to find your way off of it before it happens. And then when you get on the ship and blast off, then the credits for the game roll as you're escaping the collision, and then you're like, we are going to a new civilization now, and then the game begins.
It did have the lighting up that way, especially the neon lights.
Yeah. Especially at the end, they were in that civilization. It was very cyberpunk-esque. So we found out more about the other Loki. She calls herself Sylvie. And 99% of this episode was what I called snarky back and forth, the episode. Because it's really all it was. But it wasn't as, like, in the last two, we've had, like, these, concepts and ideas and things we can really sink our teeth into. Not so much here. Other than a big reveal. People in the TVA are all variants.
Yes, that was quite a surprise.
It was a surprise because I didn't think of that.
Yes.
But it wasn't a surprise because we already knew things weren't as well. We were speculating that it was all kind of hokum.
Shady business.
Yeah.
And with shady businesses come secrets.
Yeah, pretty much 100% of the time. And that right, Blizzard? When we left off, they had gone through the portal thingy. We're back at the TVA. She had found out, Sylvia had found out that the gold elevators, I guess, lead to the guardians of the timekeepers. And she was on her way there. And then, shenanigans ensue. And then Loki zaps him somewhere else, which was this place that this moon that we were on. And then it's pretty much just them trying to escape. So it's snarky back and forth until they find an old lady. She tells them that this arc is going, or this train is taking them to the arc, which is what ends up being a shuttle, obviously. And it's just adventures on the train. They get kicked off. Adventures to the city. Adventures trying to get to the arc. And normally in things like this, you expect they would get there because they're just in time and board the thing, and it'll take off, and they've made it. Nope. No, the arc gets hit by like a meteor, like one of the projectiles, and this episode ends with Sylvie just walking off because they have to get to the arc because Loki broke the 10 pad. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, 10 pad. I think 10 TENPAD. I'm not sure, but Loki broke it because they were trying to get to the arc place to charge it so they could leave, essentially zap somewhere else. So now that's broke, arc is damaged, and that's where we left off. So a little cliffhanger.
And because it's a place where they could be speculated to be in because it's an apocalyptic event.
Yeah. That's why it took him there, because I think it's her thing. I'm pretty sure, and she even said because of all the apocalyptic events that you could have chosen, this was the worst one. So yeah, not a whole lot. As I said, not a whole lot happened because it was just like point A to point B with snarky dialogue back and forth.
It was, though, nevertheless interesting in which that although they are each other to an extent, it wasn't as if he were talking to a clone of himself. They actually have their own identities.
Yeah, and their own backstory and their own upbringing, and
yes, which makes it much more interesting than simply Loki talking to himself.
Yeah, like she knew she was adopted, or Loki didn't for a long time, stuff like that. But I mean, as far as discussion goes, there wasn't really a lot here to like. The big reveal was about the TVA, which when we watched it, I was like, oh.
Yes, so there is something that they are keeping from him, and possibly from everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're keeping from everyone else. Like, Owen Wilson thinks he's Owen Wilson, but he's a variant. It's interesting. It's proving us right in a way that we called it. That was kind of bullshit.
that there's something about this place not to be trusted.
Yeah, something's funny's happening. And but interesting, like how would she know that?
That is something that I was speculating.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll find that out.
I was wondering how she could know that if even they themselves don't, which means that she somehow knows more about that place than even the people that work there.
Yeah.
How much does she know that actually could be of use to Loki?
Oh, probably a lot. This entire episode was them like learning to trust each other.
Well, learning to work with each other.
Yeah, that's why I said trust. That's why I said it kind of like a kind of way, because like, yeah, learning to coexist without being adversarial the entire time.
Yes, this is a Marvel film, not a Disney film.
Yeah, thank goodness. So that's where we left off. We left off with Sylvie walking away. Loki's just standing there, and they are still stuck.
Do you find it interesting that he only selectively used his magic?
Yeah. I was thinking that.
It seemed like, all right, he was able to do something with that tower. Well, what about...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What about the arc itself? Could he reverse it? He can make fireworks and things like that, but he cannot make this tempad actually magically fix itself or recharge itself? What are the limits of his magic?
Yeah, because when the thing was falling and he stopped it with his mind and like lifted it back up.
Yes, with ease.
Yeah, with ease. I was like, there were so many other instances that could have come in handy. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. But I guess keeping it vague is also good, because then they can just, that's the pro of keeping something vague. You can just use it however you want. Because if you define rules, then you are defined by those rules. But if you don't have rules yet, then there are no rules.
Something that I think that he would be able to get behind.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Like there's no rules.
Pretty much what he's about.
Yeah, there's no rules in chaos. Chaos for chaos' sake. I think a lot of the situations they could have navigated them with a lot more ease than they did. But I also understand that then it would have made for a more boring episode without all of the...
Well, yes. There would probably be less suspense if...
Without all the punchy, fighty Loki powers flying.
Well, maybe if he did it once, this would be alright. He can teleport, which means when someone's about to charge at him, he could vanish, and they would run into something and hurt themselves. That could have been useful for one or two of the fights that
there were quite a few fights. Yeah, I 100% agreed that they did not use their powers. Especially Loki, because he has so many different freaking powers he can use. All the way know that Sylvie has right now is the enchantment, so she's limited, but Loki has like so many freaking powers.
Maybe they are purposely, in a very tact way, limiting what they show each other, so that they can still keep alive that sense of unpredictability.
But I would think then by the time you're reaching the point where imminent death is staring you in the face, I think it's time to stop only showing you what I need to show you. Let's go balls to the wall and let's use every power at our disposal to try and
yes, one would think
escape kind of thing. So yeah, if there was anything I was going to nitpick, it would be that.
Selective use of powers of having them, but only for some scenes.
Yeah.
And some scenes, well, maybe they were so caught up in the moment that they forgot that they had the ability.
I don't know. You think it would be ingrained in them too?
This thing is falling up. Oh wait, I can use magic. Yes, now I remember. I can do this.
But then again, I mean, the thing was falling over. The arc exploded. So even if he like stopped the arc, put it back up.
Yes.
We don't have his ability to be like put it back together.
And I suppose they would be more complicated if it were technical.
Yeah.
Which is why he could not simply use magic to fix the tempad.
Yeah. That's what I'm assuming. It doesn't work like that, but then again, as you shrug. Who knows? Like, even not at the risk of making them more boring or anything, it just would have been more interesting to see them use magic more often.
Imagine the special effects that could be seen.
But I did like that it subverted the expectation of them making it to the thing and getting on the thing and escaping, because that didn't happen.
Yes, it still makes the episode nevertheless interesting of what they're going to do now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, would you like to go to my notes?
Yes.
They are very short.
Phillip's notes.
I liked when she first got to the TVA, which was kind of weird. Also, she knows all the stuff about the TVA. I'll come back to that in a sec. When she went to enchant the person there, they were like, and she was like, huh? Because her magic didn't work because she's at the TVA. But if she knows so much about if she knows that the people there are variants, how does she not know that the magic doesn't work there? But I did like the scene. I did like the moment.
While doing the enchantments, she could probably be learning things bit by bit about them. And that's how she could possibly know things that only that particular variant knows, only that particular one knows that, and
maybe
overall, after doing it so many times, collecting information.
But you would think that she's been doing this for so long and gotten so many of those charges, and we're still at the point where there are all these diversions on the sacred timeline, which we left off with in episode 2. So that's still happening.
Yes, which would lead me to think that they're too distracted with that situation to even begin to look for them.
That's not the issue I have. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. She knows the big secret. Well, if you've been doing this for this long and been this plan's been years in the making, you've had years to study your enemy. You would have to know that this is like a kryptonite, electrically grounded place that you can't use powers at. Either she knew and forgot.
It's possible.
Or she just, because she's so used to using them. Or somehow that piece of intel never got communicated to her. Which I think would be weird because the entire thing in the TVA is there's no magic. Like, the Infinity Stones are there. It just seems weird that she wouldn't know that. Like that's like the big thing about the place. It's like neutral ground. Power is useless. I did like the scene. Thought it was cool. I did like the older woman not falling for the dead husband trick, which was also kind of crappy of Loki to do, but it's Loki.
Yes, it's something that I did wonder when I first saw him try to do it. I thought, how do you know whether he's still alive? He could have died, and thus she would have known at the beginning that, before even speaking, that this is a trick.
Yeah. And then the line that I think we both like the line when she's talking about how he was a prince, and she was like, "Any princesses or a prince?" And she does like an eyebrow raise to him, and he says, "A bit of both."
Yes, confidently, without feeling at all ashamed about it.
Which is amusing to me that I've been reading that this is one of the things that was spoiled for me. That certain groups who want you to abide by their rules, but if it goes against their rules, then they get upset and they call you a snowflake while they themselves acting all butthurt and upset and angry about stuff. But we're the snowflakes. They're mad that Loki is bi. My response to that is, have you not read the lore? Loki's done some fucked up things. I put some footage in the last episode. Loki turned himself into a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Had sex with another horse.
Mm-hmm. He turned himself into a female one so that he could have sex with a male one. That's how Sleipnir was born.
Yeah.
The 8-legged horse.
Exactly. Loki's a weird god. Loki being bi, it's not only a given, it's way low on the totem of weird-ass stuff that Loki could be. Get the fuck over yourselves. Seriously.
Actually, I would wonder why someone would have a problem with that. One would say, why is he? Well, I would think, well, why not? He could be this, or he could be that. All right, he happens to be this. Now let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's Loki.
There's no reason to make a big commotion about it.
Well, there is, because people have a problem with sexuality and try and base their mythology around it because they're brainwashed. And it's like me asking, have you never done research into the backstory of Loki and the stories of Loki as a god? Of course you haven't, because your entire existence predicates on doing no research on anything you're told. You just do what you're told, and you're told what to say, and you believe what you're told, and that's the end of it. Because why do research? Why try and give yourself knowledge and intellect when you can have opinion and a conveniently woven fabric of mythology that fits into a man-made archetype of hate that you want to raise the flag for and call that, I guess, faith? Yeah, I'm coming hard now. When I said before that I wanted this channel to be an open and inviting place for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want the Chick-fil-A crowd. If I'm raging against your machine, there's a reason why. It's like, People who want religious freedom, no, they want religious freedom for their religion. Religious freedom applies to everyone's religion. And people who are claiming religious persecution, no, you have it wrong. Religious persecution is you persecuting others because of your religion. That's what it really means. Tangent aside. Tangent aside. I like the line a lot.
That was quite a divergence from the episode.
Well, it fits in with what happened, though. Loki's bi. Of course he is. It's Loki.
He could be anything, and
it's Loki. Do some research. As I've said before in previous episodes, educate yourself. Please. I did like the line of when Loki was trying to explain love and he couldn't, and later on did, and it was like, love is an imaginary dagger. That was really funny.
Yes, I could see that it can be used as a weapon if used that way. But of course, one does need to remember that, well, exactly where is this dagger pointing? To the other person or to oneself? Don't lose focus of what you're trying to do with this thing, basically.
Yeah.
I suppose that it could be said that love, it's many things, and one of the things that it can be is a means of manipulation.
Oh yeah. We've seen that in people in our lives. So, yeah. Don't maybe go on that kind of rant. I already did that kind of rant stuff with Doctor Who. Y'all don't want that again, do you? You're already getting, like, religious zealotry rant. Loki gets drunk, loses his disguise. Sylvie's like, what the hell are you doing? And then Loki says, I'm hedonistic. That's what I do.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
He is a Norse god. One thing that they did share with their Greco-Roman counterparts is that they were hedonistic.
Do some research. It was a good line. I knew it was a line that you'd appreciate. Because if you were left to your devices, you would be very hedonistic. I have to work sometimes to set boundaries, because if I don't, you're going to eat the entire box of cereal in one sitting.
And it was a very delicious box of cereal as well.
And then you really couldn't eat for like the entire next day because you hurt your mouth.
Well,
all
yes.
the cereal you ate.
Yes, it wasn't soft cereal.
You're Lokiing it up after I go to bed.
Let's go back to the notebook.
The notebook's done. That's all for my notes. Everything else is for my patrons over on Patreon.
Wait, that's it? Well,
I told you. Yeah,
you did say that it was a short episode.
It's not even a full page long. It's like a little over half. So yes, interesting episode overall. Not as much to sink our teeth into as previous ones. Other than me going on a ranty tirade about religious stuff. Maybe there'll be an episode of this that I don't do that. But we're talking about mythology. We're talking about belief. We're talking about blind faith. We're talking about, all these things. So
it's a bit difficult to talk about a god without talking about religion.
Yeah, exactly.
The two go together very well.
And then the whole uproar of people, saying, "Oh, this is a bunch of bull crap. Of course, Loki has to be bi." All that stuff. Yeah, of course, Loki has to be bi. Of course, he's Loki. Period. I'm going to shut up now before I go. Yeah, I'm done. Is there anything else you'd like to add about this episode?
No.
Me either.
How about if we see another episode?
Yeah, I think there's time for one more tonight. All right, for those that are still here and watching, awesome. That's going to wrap up this episode. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.